Section: Introduction. In this section, we discuss the challenges faced in understanding the decision-making processes of deep neural networks, DNNs, and the emergence of explainable AI, XAI, to address this issue. XAI aims to make the decision-making of DNNs understandable to humans. Initially, XAI focused on explaining local decisions of DNNs for specific inputs using saliency maps. However, it has now shifted towards explaining the global behavior of models by analyzing individual components and their functions. We follow a global explainability approach known as mechanistic interpretability, which involves methods to describe the specific concepts neurons detect. These methods assign textual descriptions to neurons based on the concepts they have learned. Initially, these descriptions were label-specific but have evolved into more complex compositional and open vocabulary explanations. Despite these advancements, a significant challenge remains in the lack of a universally accepted quantitative evaluation measure for open vocabulary neuron descriptions. This has led to different methods using their own evaluation criteria, making it challenging to compare them comprehensively. To address this gap, we introduce a novel quantitative evaluation framework called COSY for evaluating open vocabulary explanations for neurons in computer vision (CV) models. Our approach leverages generative AI advancements to generate synthetic images aligned with textual explanations. By synthesizing data points representing specific target explanations, we can evaluate how neurons differentiate between concept-related images and those from a control dataset. Moving on to related work, activation maximization is a commonly used methodology to understand what neurons detect. This method identifies input signals that trigger the highest activation in a neuron, either synthetically through optimization processes or naturally within a data corpus. Activation maximization has been applied to explain latent representations of models and detect various phenomena. Another scalable approach is automatic neuron interpretation, which links neurons with human understandable concepts through textual descriptions. Methods like network dissection, compositional explanations of neurons, and others associate neurons with concepts based on activation maps and ground truth segmentation masks, enhancing the detail and scope of explanations provided. These methods enable a deeper understanding of how neurons function in DNNs. Section Summary. In this section, we delve into the field of explainable AI, XAI, which aims to make the decision-making processes of deep neural networks, DNNs, understandable to humans. We focus on the global explainability approach, known as mechanistic interpretability, which involves methods to describe the specific concepts neurons have learned to detect, enabling analysis of how these concepts influence network predictions. Our work introduces a novel quantitative evaluation framework named COSY to assess open vocabulary explanations for neurons in computer vision (CV) models, leveraging generative AI advancements to generate synthetic images aligned with concept-based textual explanations for evaluation purposes. Section: Prior methods for evaluation. In this section, we have seen that previous methods have mainly focused on evaluating local explanations rather than global methods. There is currently no unified approach for benchmarking across different models and explanation methods. Some existing methods evaluate the accuracy of explanations by comparing generated neuron labels with ground truth descriptions. For example, ClipDissect also measures the quality of explanations by computing cosine similarity between the ground truth class name for each neuron and the explanation generated by the method. Falcon conducts a human study on Amazon Mechanical Turk to evaluate the concepts generated by the method. Milan evaluates neuron labeling methods relative to human annotations using BERT scores. Now, let's introduce COSY, which is an automatic evaluation procedure for textual explanations for neurons. We first define some notations, such as the deep neural network, DNN, represented by a function g, x, right arrow z, where x is the input image domain and z is the model's output domain. The model can be seen as a composition of two functions, f, x, right arrow, y, and l, y, right arrow, Z, where Y represents the neurons in the layer. The function f is the feature extractor, and we refer to the ith neuron within the layer as f_i, x, equals f_i, x. An explanation method is denoted as an operator, e, that maps a neuron to a textual description. COSY aims to evaluate open vocabulary textual explanations for neurons. It leverages generative models to create synthetic images based on textual explanations. The response of a neuron to these synthetic images is compared to its activation on natural images representing random concepts. This comparison allows for a quantitative evaluation of how well the explanation aligns with the target neuron. The method involves generating synthetic images, collecting neuron activations, and scoring explanations using metrics like area under the receiver operating characteristic, AUC, and mean activation difference, MAD. These metrics help assess the neuron's ability to distinguish between synthetic and control data points and quantify the difference in neuron activation between synthetic and control images. Section Summary. In this section, we introduce COSY, an automatic evaluation procedure for textual explanations of neurons in deep neural networks. We define the function of a DNN as a composition of two functions, a feature extractor and a labeler, and explain how COSY evaluates the alignment between textual explanations and neuron activations using synthetic data and scoring functions like AUC and MAD. This method aims to provide a quantitative assessment of how well textual explanations match the behavior of neurons in the network. Section: Meta-evaluation analysis. In this section, we analyze the meta-evaluation of our evaluation method to ensure its reliability. We look into which generative models and prompts give the best similarity to natural images, whether the model's behavior differs on synthetic and natural images for the same concept, and validate that COSY provides appropriate evaluation scores for true and random explanations based on known ground truth concepts for neurons. One important aspect of COSY is its use of generative models to convert textual neuron explanations into visual images. Therefore, it's crucial that the generated images accurately represent the textual concepts. We conducted an experiment where we adjusted various generation parameters and assessed the visual similarity between generated and synthetic images, focusing on concepts with natural image collections. We used open-source text-to-image models like SDXL and SC, along with different prompts for image generation. To measure similarity, we used cosine similarity in the clip embedding space with the clip VIT-B32 model. We selected 10 random concepts from the ImageNet dataset and generated 50 images per concept using different prompts with SDXL and SC models. The comparison showed that using prompt 5 with SDXL resulted in the highest similarity to natural images, especially with detailed prompts. Next, we investigated if computer vision models respond differently to synthetic and natural images of the same concepts and whether any differences indicate adversarial behavior. We used 4 models pre-trained on ImageNet and generated images based on class descriptions. By comparing the activations of output neurons for synthetic and natural images, we found that synthetic images slightly activate neurons more than natural images, but this difference is small and doesn't affect our framework significantly. To ensure our evaluation metric can distinguish between random and non-random explanations effectively, we compared the scores of ground truth explanations with randomly selected ones using COSY. The results consistently showed high scores for true explanations and low scores for random ones, confirming the reliability of our evaluation process. Additional experiments on the evaluation measure's robustness can be found in the appendix. Section Summary. In this section, we conduct a meta-evaluation analysis to ensure the reliability of our proposed evaluation measure by examining the similarity between generative models and prompts for natural images, investigating model behavior differences on synthetic and natural images for the same concept, and validating the appropriateness of COSY evaluation scores for true and random explanations. Through experiments with open-source text-to-image models like SDXL and SC, we find that using detailed prompts, particularly prompt 5 with SDXL, results in the highest similarity to natural images, indicating the effectiveness of detailed prompts and the slight advantage of SDXL over SC. Furthermore, our investigation into model responses to synthetic and natural images shows that while synthetic images slightly activate neurons more than natural images, this difference is minimal and does not indicate adversarial behavior, reinforcing the robustness of our evaluation framework. Section: Evaluating Explanation Methods. In this section, we conducted a thorough comparison of various methods for providing textual explanations of neurons. We used models trained on different datasets and analyzed the latent layers of these models where no ground truth is available. We evaluated 3 recent textual explanation methods, Milan, invert, and ClipDissect, using 4 models pre-trained on the ImageNet and Places 365 datasets. The ImageNet dataset focuses on objects, while the Places 365 dataset is for scene recognition. We tailored our prompts accordingly for object and scene recognition tasks. We used a subset of 50,000 images from the training dataset to generate explanations and evaluated them using COSY with the corresponding validation datasets. ClipDissect defined concept labels using common English words and dataset labels. Invert achieved the highest AUC scores overall, except for ResNet 18 on ImageNet where ClipDissect performed similarly. ClipDissect consistently showed good results across models and datasets. Milan had poor performance with an average AUC below 0.65, likely due to its abstract explanations. ClipDissect outperformed invert for convolutional neural networks based on MAD scores. Milan struggled with all experimental settings. We also examined the quality of explanations for neurons in different layers of a model, focusing on lower-layer neurons that encode lower-level concepts. Across all methods, we observed increasing scores for later layers, indicating higher concept quality. Falcon scored the lowest, even below random performance. By testing visual representations of textual explanations on neurons, we found that ClipDissect and invert consistently provided high-quality explanations. While invert performed slightly better in some tasks, ClipDissect had broader concept generation capabilities despite being less interpretable. Falcon and Milan often gave random explanations, as reflected in their low AUC and MAD scores.